Hello everybody, Andrew Field. I know I'm always apologizing for not making videos for a while, but I'm really sorry about this one, especially with the sincerity of the coronavirus, which is spreading to be a big problem here in the U.S. and globally. Um, yeah, I'm really sorry about that. I I should be keeping you posted a lot better than I am, so I don't want to make this video too long. I'll just give you the rundown of what's been happening over these past couple weeks. Some of this news will be older, and I'll try to point that out when it is. Update on me and my family. My family and I are fine. Haven't been affected, haven't gotten infected with the coronavirus. Um, just been staying at home, quarantined. My school's been postponed till April, doing e-learning, and everything's been closed. So let's start off, of course, with the coronavirus. Cases first surged in South Korea. They declared highest alert. This was a little while back. The numbers from a couple weeks ago, mind you, about 2.5 weeks ago, were only 82,000 cases worldwide, to 2,800 deaths, 33,000 recovered from the coronavirus, and only in 53 countries. That was past numbers from about 2 weeks ago. Case numbers surged in Italy and Iran, still true. The White House asked Congress for billions to fight the coronavirus, and it hit every continent except Antarctica. The WHO warned for the world to watch out for the pandemic. San Francisco declared a state of emergency. The CDC warning rattled the markets. The markets have been going down and up a lot. Let's see. Um, The Italy cases tripled over 2 days. In 2018, Trump fired the government's entire pandemic response chain of command. The Tokyo Olympics may be canceled due to the virus. The stocks tumbled, actually recently the worst day ever. So that's more recent. The U.S. was at 60 cases 2 weeks ago. California was investigating a lot of people for signs of the virus after they traveled to Asia. Trump was at first worried about his re-election chances more than the country. A Department of Health and Human Services whistleblower said that officials sent more than a dozen workers to receive Americans from Wuhan, China, without proper training for infection control or appropriate protective gear. There were only 4 cases a couple weeks ago that were travel related. China shut down nearly 70,000 movie theaters. Um, Mission Impossible 7 had to shut down production shoots in Venice, Italy, and the movie business was definitely hit hard. More so in a minute. The U.S. only reported 6 deaths in Washington State 2 weeks ago, so the numbers are peaking and will peak a lot more after that. So a good side effect of what has happened was carbon emissions going down in China from people like staying inside. The Corona beer brand was being hurt because of the name similarity to the virus. Um, 2 weeks ago, there were only 3 cases in Illinois. Now there's over 100. Um, yeah, I was, whatever. First cases in some states. Congress gave the White House almost $8 billion to fight the coronavirus in a bipartisan deal. That was good. Um, yeah, this is all old. Let's see. Oh yeah, they were saying in the beginning that a vaccine could take a year to a year and a half, but there have been good improvements, so hopefully that will come by sooner. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard commander said the coronavirus may have been caused by a U.S. biological attack. Um, that statement is stupid and not even worth trying to explain. Italy reported 49 deaths for 197 deaths only a couple weeks ago. Think about that. 4,600 reported. 100,000 people contacted the virus. Old number. Hong Kong tells residents to defer non-urgent travel. The coronavirus is creating a cancel culture, which means like everything's being shut down, which is true. The Trump administration does not have a good coronavirus response. They did not in the beginning. There were over 1,000 cases in France and Germany. France and Germany have spiked up in their cases and will continue to. I use a website that tracks cases real time. I'll show you the numbers currently in a couple minutes. The U.S. a couple weeks ago were only at 550 cases and 22 deaths. Um, for a couple times in the past couple weeks, the stock trading has stopped for 15 minutes. That's like um, circuit breakers to help the stock market from falling too much after it fell 1,800 points one day. The Chinese company donated tens of thousands of masks for Italy. 16 million in Italy were first quarantined before the whole population of 60 million was quarantined, where they have to stay indoors in their houses. Um, Trump, in the beginning, needed to assess it better as a threat and not blame the media with the market falling, because he was blaming the market falling on the media in the beginning. Congressmen were getting infected. Congressman Cruz, Gates, Collins, and Gosar, among others, entered isolation after an attendee at CNAP tested positive. San Francisco banned all public gatherings like Golden State games. E3 was canceled. Um, the biggest hotspots in the U.S. are New York, California, and Washington. The National Guard was deployed in the New York containment zone. Let's see. Washington State banned events larger than 250 people. The original number was 500. Many high schools and colleges have shut down. 300 FEMA employees in Atlanta were instructed to work from home. Let's see. Kentucky shut down church services, and most church services have been shut down. Let's see. A bear market was starting to form. It looked like the Dow Jones Industrial Average closed more than 20% below its February high. The U.S. is very behind on testing kits. Um, the WHO had millions of testing kits, but the U.S. didn't take them because they didn't think they were good quality enough. And they later explained that in a press conference that the reason they didn't take it was because they didn't want to like they wanted to make sure the testing kits were accurate enough where like it wasn't saying the coronavirus was positive in people when it actually wasn't. They wanted good testing kits, but the U.S. is really behind on testing kits, and that's been a big problem. There was a report saying that 70 to 150 million Americans could contract the virus. That seems like a big number. Hopefully, it won't be the case. The NCAA originally was going to hold tournaments without fans before they canceled March Madness. Insurance companies waived the copay fees for testing for the virus. Trump was seething for having worked with Pelosi in the beginning. Chicago canceled their Chicago St. Patrick's Day parade. Trump suspended all U.S. travel for Europe over 30 days, except the UK, and then he included the UK later on. Um, Tom Hanks and his wife had the coronavirus, but things are better with them. They did leave the hospital in Australia a day or two ago. The NBA canceled the regular season after a player got infected. There have been more people in the pro leagues that have been infected since. The Big Ten canceled their basketball tournaments. The NHL is canceled. That pissed me off because I'm a big hockey person, but this all makes sense. Um, states that I was looking at, schools I was looking at, like colleges, University of Illinois, Illinois State, University of Iowa, they were all moving online. I saw, I think with Harvard, they like were moving online and they were telling people to leave campus, and it creates a lot of problems for college students. So it was kind of nerve wracking, and I'm sorry they have to go through that. But it's just the way it is with the precautions that the U.S. and the world are taking. Um, France, it was funny. France had to release a statement saying cocaine doesn't protect people against the coronavirus because there was a lot of misinformation going around, and probably still is. So there was a study saying that a virus can stay on surfaces and the air for a long time, the coronavirus. Meanwhile, there was a locust storm in the East Africa that's been eating their food. Disneyland and Disney World closed. Disney seemed to close everything worldwide. MLB closed their spring training. Apple stores were reopening in China but closing in the U.S. and around the world. The Fed pumped more than $1 trillion into the market. Ireland closed its schools and colleges for 2 weeks. Um, Trump, in the beginning, when he was talking, failed to calm coronavirus fears. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau self-isolated himself after his wife contacted the virus. Ohio and Maryland were the first states to shut down all schools. Ohio health official estimated there were 100,000 people in Ohio alone that had the virus. That hasn't been the case so far, but like I said, we're really behind on the testing kits, so we don't know for sure. Germany said 70% could catch it. The Dow went up 2,000 points one day, the day that Trump declared a national emergency over the virus and offered 50 billion in support. The Republicans were sneaking abortion restrictions on the coronavirus bill. A deal was reached between the White House and the Democrats on a coronavirus relief package, and I just saw today the Senate passed that too. So that bill that was passed by the House was just passed by the Senate now, so that's good. It's to spend billions on sick leave, unemployment insurance, food stamps, and other measures. Illinois closed all K through 12 schools along with other states. The Iranian vice president tested positive for the coronavirus. Trump tested to see if he had the virus because he came in contact with people that did, but surprisingly he didn't have it. Um, Rep. Paul Gosar was skeptic if the virus is serious, only to self quarantine himself. Movie theaters were at first allowing 50% capacity, but now all theaters are closing, at least with AMC and Regal. They're closing for 6 to 12 weeks, which makes sense. And their numbers were really bad. Like, not a lot of people were going anyway. So, the UK coronavirus crisis, they said, may last till spring 2021 and could see 7.9 million people hospitalized. That was an article from The Guardian. The WHO gave 1.5 million coronavirus test kits over 120 countries. The U.S. Didn't take it for what I was saying because they didn't know if the test kits were good enough. Trump said recently the coronavirus reality could last till July and August, and it actually could last even longer. It just depends on how quickly we get a vaccine and how quickly we can give it to the nation and try to keep it out of our country and all of that stuff. So the number of people that we were allowed to come in contact with was at first like 1,000, then 500, then 250, then I forget, then 50, and then Trump advised people to not gather with 10 or more people. And I'd say Trump has been doing a lot better because once he stopped blaming the coronavirus on the media or the Democrats, and he actually took it seriously, he actually had a very good press conference, I would say. Excuse me. Other news around the world: Spain announced a national lockdown, and France declared all non-essential stores to shut down. The coronavirus could bring out the worst in humanity. We've seen instances of that. Netflix temporarily shut down all TV movie production. South Korean President Moon Jae-in suggested Trump should hold a G20 teleconference to discuss how South Korea worked to reduce the spread of the novel coronavirus because in the beginning it was bad there, but it's gotten a lot better. The nation's top infectious diseases expert, Dr. Fauci, warned of a spike in deaths if we go about our daily lives and not worry. So it's important to follow the regulations of the government. Amazon says it's out of stock on household items and deliveries are delayed. Iran ruled out a quarantine after 100 deaths were reported. The biggest single day jump. I already said San Francisco locks down. Uh, the stock market finished up 1,000 points after a historic low day a week ago where it dropped 3,000 points. And the White House proposed giving cash to Americans. Representative Devin Nunes said people should not panic, worried about the economy. It's sad that we have so many stupid congressmen. Not every congressperson is going to be perfect, but people like Nunes should be kicked out or removed from office. And hopefully in the next election he will. The U.S. began its first human trial of the coronavirus vaccine, which is very important. That's a crucial step of human trials. France, the Czech Republic are on lockdown. The EU closes borders for 30 days. Amazon adds 100,000 new jobs after the surge in online orders, and the UK shuts down its schools. Poll shows Americans were divided along partisan lines on Trump's handling of the coronavirus. All bars and restaurants are to close for the next, what's the date today? 18th, so 2 weeks. The Fed slashed interest rates to near zero, and actually, I think they slashed it again, so it's about zero now. The CDC urged people to not gather in 50 or more people, but Trump said 10 or more people, so I'm going to go with 10. California told all people 65 or older to stay at home. There were long airport lines. The Czech Republic shut down public services. I already said that. Oklahoma calls a state of emergency only after 8 cases. Singapore said that the U.S. and Switzerland are not trying to contain the virus, which I don't agree with. Maybe they're not doing enough, but I think they're starting to at least. New York City marijuana delivery services are reportedly booming during the coronavirus scare. Google seemed to be doing well with the coronavirus because on their main page they have like the 5 main things you need to know to protect yourself from the coronavirus. Let's see. Although the virus could have helped U.S. and China relationships, it didn't work out that way. Um, I hope everyone practices social distancing um, and staying safe. The Ohio governor said schools may not open again this year. Canada and the U.S. today shut the northern border for safety. A while back, Trump visited India for the first time as president, and 11 were killed with religious fighting. Trump is interfering in the 2020 elections, but we're not certain on the motive besides basically division. Putin makes measures to legally stay as leader longer. Trump was purging officials who are not loyal to him. This is a bit older news. Hong Kong is giving 7 million people $1,200 in cash to boost its recession-hit economy. There was a shooting that killed 6 in Milwaukee. The U.S. and the Taliban were trying to sign a historic deal to end their longest war, with a U.S. withdrawal over 14 months. Let's see. Senator Josh Hawley proposed a bill banning federal employees from using TikTok and government devices. The U.S. Recently conducted airstrikes against multiple Iranian-backed militia sites in Iraq. It was a response to a rocket attack that killed 2 Americans and a British soldier. Along with the 2020 news, it's been very important, and a lot has happened with that too. Uh, let's see. Bernie Sanders was endorsed by Marianne Williamson. Warren's campaign got back up after destroying Bloomberg when Bloomberg entered the debate stage. The South Carolina primary was the most important primary thus far, even though its vote count isn't as big because Joe Biden won. He was basically done if he didn't win the state, but he did, and he did really well with the African American vote. So Tom Steyer dropped out of the race after placing third. And Pete Buttigieg also dropped out along with Amy Klobuchar, and I think they all rallied together to get Bernie out, which I guess is just better for the Democratic Party in the end. So in summary, Steyer, Pete Buttigieg, and Klobuchar all dropped out after South Carolina, and they all endorsed Biden. Biden then won Virginia. Sanders won Vermont. Beto O'Rourke endorsed Biden. Sanders won Colorado. Biden won Tennessee and Oklahoma. Let's see. 3/4 of the voters, and this was a couple weeks back, 3/4 of the voters in California, Texas, Virginia, and North Carolina say the coronavirus was a factor. Bloomberg dropped out of the race after a bad Super Tuesday performance and endorsed Biden. He spent $500 million. It was good that money couldn't buy the presidency. Joe Biden won Super Tuesday, although he didn't spend as much or campaign as much. Bernie won California, and Joe won Texas, but the vote was pretty split. Bloomberg won American Samoa, and Elizabeth Warren dropped out. Harris and Booker endorsed Biden also, and Biden and Sanders canceled an Ohio rally from coronavirus fears. In another election night, Biden won Michigan, which is very important. Andrew Yang endorsed Biden. Sanders was staying despite his losses. Washington's voting was done by mail. Um, Biden treated a pro-gun voter from Michigan pretty poorly. Biden won Washington, Louisiana, Georgia. Oh, sorry. Biden ended up winning Washington. That was found out like a couple days after the election because it was so close. Um, Louisiana, Georgia, and Ohio postponed their primaries, but Illinois, Florida, Illinois, and Arizona all had their primaries yesterday, and Biden won all three of those states. And I put my vote with Biden because I liked Bernie and I kind of leaned with Bernie, but Bernie had no way to pay for his policies, and I think that Biden will have a lot better chance of beating Trump. So in the end, I put my vote with Biden, and Biden won everything yesterday. So Bernie Sanders is highly considering probably whether he stays in or not, especially with the factor of the coronavirus, because if he stays in, he's risking people's lives by going in to vote. So yeah, he may not stay in much longer. And because Joe Biden's beating him by a lot of delegates, like I think it's between 200 and 300 he's leading by. So I would say Sanders should probably drop out. If I was in his campaign, I would let him know that. Let's see. Congressional leaders were asking for a Secret Service protection after protesters rushed the stage at a Biden rally in California. There was this Colorado Senator Ken Buck who posted a video egging Beto O'Rourke and Joe Biden to come in his office and take his AR-15. A U.S. think tank, Heartland Institute, supported it on anti-Greta. Naomi Savit is a 19-year-old German who doesn't believe in climate change. There was a wrong-way crash that killed 6 people in Georgia. Kobe Bryant had a memorial in Staples Center. That was all a long time ago. Scientists discovered an animal that doesn't need oxygen to live. Trump's doctor is running for Congress in Texas, and he said he hid broccoli and Trump's mashed potatoes. Harvey Weinstein was sentenced to 23 years in jail. Justin Bieber um, took down his tour after poor ticket sales. Air carrier Delta plans to be carbon neutral. Good for them. The airline industry has been hard hit, so the government's thinking of helping them out. NASA pioneer Katherine Johnson died. She helped get man on the moon. NASA thinks alien life might be hiding underground in ancient caves and on Mars. Walmart is about to release Walmart Plus to compete with Amazon Prime. Maybe that won't be the case with the coronavirus, but before I go, just to let you know how much this has grown, there are now 218,000 cases worldwide, 8,900 deaths, and these are all low numbers. 84,000 have recovered, which is a good thing. But when you talk about countries, Japan's at 899 cases, 29 deaths. The UK is now at 2,600 cases, over 100 deaths. South Korea is at 8,400 cases, 84 deaths. The U.S. is growing, case number is growing a lot. Now there's almost 9,000 cases, 1,000 cases reported a day, it seems like. 150 deaths. France has 9,000 cases, 264 deaths. Germany has 12,000 cases, only 28 deaths. Spain has 14,600 deaths. Iran has 17,000 cases and over 1,000 deaths. Italy has 35,000 cases and about 3,000 deaths. And China still is at 80,000 and 3,200 deaths. So it seems like their numbers are not going up that much. But yeah, I hope you guys stay safe. You need to protect yourselves. Don't touch your face too much. Don't go out in public events that much. Try and stay home. And I know this is tough for everyone, but we're going to get through this. This virus will pass. Um, it's better to be safe than sorry, and I'm glad the world is taking this seriously. So stay safe and good luck out there. Bye.